Hello campers! Right here on this little table we have the entire structure of the American government laid out for you and the U.S. government laid out for you. This is kind of a combination or flowing together, an integration of what we've talked about in the first two Grannabites. The first Grannabite was about the basics of the American and U.S. governments, and then the second one was about jurisdiction. And this is where we bring it all together. All right? Remember, we have the states. Okay? These are the states we all think of, the sovereign entities that created the government for this country. And each one of these states is a nation state. The nation being the people who live in that state, and the state being the physical groundwork, the landmarks, the land, rivers, trees, the soil, and the subsoil. Okay? The states are governed by state assemblies. All right? Simple enough. These guys roll over all the rest of it. Now, here we go. We have the American government. And there are three instrumentalities of the states. In 1776, we have the United States unincorporated, also known as the Union. Okay, this is the first Union, has nothing to do with the Union during the Civil War. Then we have, in 1776 also, the United States of America unincorporated, our Federation. And finally, in 1781, we have the States of America unincorporated Confederation. Both the United States unincorporated and the Federation have been in complete, they've been in session since 1776. In 1781, the Confederation disappeared. It ceased to function and became inoperable because they no longer had a quorum to conduct business when the Southern state-of-state organizations walked out. Okay, so these are instrumentalities of the states. In addition, we have the United States government, and that involves three subcontractors, three federal subcontractors, and they all operate under constitutions. Again, here we have the Federal Republic, which was run by the Confederation of States, and it too has been missing in action since the 1860s. It was operated under the Constitution for the United States of America. Notice that United is not part of the name of the organization that received the contract. The actual name of the American organization receiving the contract, our Confederation, was States of America. This Constitution, known as the original Federal Constitution, came into effect in 1787. But the Federal Republic that it was designed to operate has been missing in action since the 1860s. Next, among the subcontractors, we have the Constitution of the United States of America, which came into effect in 1789. This is the British territorial subcontractor responsible for the territorial United States government. It's controlled and operated by district assemblies like the District 4 of the state of Alaska. And finally, we have the Constitution of the United States, which came into effect in 1790, and it rules the municipal government, sets up its structure, and provides for the district to have a separate government for itself. This is the municipal district assemblies. And here you see the flags that are involved in all of this. Now, these are the actual American flags. You can see that they're kind of chubby looking. Okay, they're much closer to a square than the flags on this side. These are Title IV flags. The Title IV flags were defined for the use of our federal subcontractor, the United States of America, British territorial government. So they're very similar, but their proportions are different. The actual American flags that are flown by the Federation are thicker, like this, whereas the flags flown under Title IV by our subcontractors are much more elongated and rectangular, like this. And this over here is the municipal flag of the city of Washington, D.C. It's a separate international city-state. And part of the problem that we're having right now with the January 6th protest prosecutions is that Americans over here on this side haven't understood that when they go over here into the District of Columbia, they are actually entering a foreign government with foreign space. Okay, the District of Columbia operates under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, the Enclave Clause, which creates essentially a separate country within this country. They have plenary oligarchy in the municipality of Washington, D.C., meaning that the members of Congress can do whatever they like in the municipality of Washington, D.C. as an international independent city-state. And within the district, the Congress has the right to exclusive legislation, which means that it controls the District of Columbia just like a separate country. Now, all of this is probably a lot of news for many Americans, but as you can see, there are state assemblies giving rise to all of this, the instrumentalities, the subcontractors, and these states have jurisdiction in all 5 jurisdictions. So now let's bring in the jurisdictional aspects. As we learned last week, there are 5 jurisdictions. There's air, soil, maritime jurisdiction, and land underlying everything. Then we have the admiralty jurisdiction going out beyond the limitations of our boundary waters. So each one of these involves its own form of law. Each one of these involves multiple interfaces. But the important take-home point for right now is that only the air and the land are universal. The air exists overall, and the land underpins or supports everything from underneath, even if it's under the sea, right? So the two primary jurisdictions are air and land for that reason, and then the soil and the maritime jurisdiction butt up against everything. This will become crucial to kind of visualize and understand as you go forward, because it speaks to the issue of political status and where we are standing at any given time in terms of what law are we standing under as subjects, under what conditions do those definitions apply, and how did we get in this mess? Now, if you go through this again, we have the original Union, the Federation, and the Confederation, which are instrumentalities of the states. And then we have three subcontractors that mirror our American instrumentalities. Because why? Because some of the powers of the American instrumentalities over on this side got shared with these subcontractors as part of the implementation of the treaties that ended the War of Independence. Back then, our representatives went to Paris, and they went to Ghent in Belgium, and they made many different deals to put an end to the war and actually get to the point of arriving at peace treaties with all these different parties. The constitutions are the implementation of those deals. And essentially, they were all power-sharing agreements where, first of all, the Union gave delegated authority to the Federation. The Federation gave delegated authority to the Confederation. The Confederation then was responsible for the operation of the Federal Republic subcontractor, and the Federation is responsible for the operations of the British territorial subcontractor, ultimately, and the Union is responsible for the operations of the municipal subcontractor. Now, all of this is really complex, folks. I know that. And it's taken a long time for us to delve out all the ins and outs of how this is supposed to work. But on another level, it's not really that hard to grasp, because these entities are mirrored with the instrumentalities being mirrored by delegated authorities. And in the end, all of them are operating under delegated authorities from the states. Because remember, the only truly independent sovereign entities that exist in this entire description of our government are the states. That's why they call them the sovereign states. So the states give rise to all the rest of this. And without the states, none of this works, because it requires the support of the states to pay for any of it. So the instrumentalities and the subcontractors that are working in these 5 different jurisdictions, each one with a separate mission, so to speak, are all dependent on the states. Now, I'm sure I've given you enough information to keep you busy for a couple of weeks here, just scratching your heads and thinking about it. And as we go forward next week, we'll be doing another demonstration, and we'll be looking at the relationships between each one of the subcontractors and each one of the instrumentalities. Till then.